This topic is student life. The first word is all-nighter. All-nighter. It's a countable noun. An all-nighter is an occasion when you stay up all night, especially because you need to study or do an assignment. She is pulling an all-nighter. To pull is the main verb that's used with all-nighter. You could say to do an all-nighter, but to pull an all-nighter is much more common, and that's basically the only collocation that you need to know here. I wasn't very organized this semester, and I had to pull several all-nighters. He was exhausted after his all-nighter. Now we have the phrasal verb, check something out. This has several meanings, but in the context of a school or university, this is usually what it means. To borrow a book or another item from a library. You are allowed to check out up to 10 books at once. I wanted to borrow that DVD from the library, but somebody had already checked it out. It's a separable phrasal verb, so you need to put the pronoun between check and out. Now we have the adjective compulsory. Compulsory. This means required by a rule or a law. It's a synonym of mandatory and obligatory. The adverb is compulsorily. Here are some collocations. A compulsory subject, compulsory education, and compulsory schooling. English is a compulsory subject in my degree. School is compulsory for children aged between 6 and 15 in my country. Now we have the verb cram. Cram. This actually has a few meanings, but we're just going to look at the meaning that relates to studying. Here it's informal. It means to try to prepare for an exam by learning a lot of information in a short space of time. She is cramming for an exam. It's best to revise material regularly and not cram if you want to retain information in the long term. It's difficult to cram for a language exam. As I'm sure you know, it's hard to make progress in a language in 1 or 2 days. Now we have curriculum. Curriculum. It's a countable noun. It means the content or subjects that are included in a course of study or that are offered by an educational institution. It's like an educational program. The adjective is curricular, and that just means related to a curriculum. Here's a usage tip. There are 2 plural forms, curricula and curriculums. And here are some collocations. The school curriculum, the math, history, English curriculum. You could put the name of any subject in front of it. A balanced curriculum, a broad curriculum, and then to design or plan a curriculum. George chose to study at that university because it has a broad curriculum for undergraduate students. That means that the university has a wide range of different subjects. The computer science professors are currently designing a new curriculum to keep up with changing technologies. Now we have dean. Dean. It's a countable noun. This also has a few meanings, but we're just going to look at the meaning that relates to education. A dean is a person who is the head of a faculty, school, administrative division, etc., at a university or college. After an impressive career as a lawyer, she was appointed dean of the law faculty at a prestigious university. An admissions dean is responsible for overseeing the admissions process at a college or university. The next word is dorm. Dorm. It's a countable noun. This comes from the word dormitory. It has a couple of meanings. Number one, informal. A large room for several people to sleep in, especially in a school or hostel. Number two, a building at or near a university or college where students live. In the picture, you can see some student dorms. If you want to travel cheaply, you can stay in hostels with large dorm rooms. I decided to live in a dorm for my first year of university because I thought it would be a good way to meet people. Now we have the verb drop. Drop. I'm sure you've seen this word before. It's a word that has lots of different meanings, but here we're just going to look at the meaning that relates to study. It means to stop studying a subject. It's transitive, so you need an object. I dropped French in the second semester because I had a very full schedule. Students are allowed to drop their science subjects in their second year if they wish. You might hear that, for example, at a university where it's compulsory to have a science subject in the first year of study, but it's not compulsory in the second year. Now we have drop out. Drop out. It's a phrasal verb. It has a couple of meanings. Number one, to stop doing an activity that you signed up for, or stop belonging to a group. Number two, to leave an educational institution without finishing one's course. Let's see the word family. First we have the noun drop out. A dropout is a person who drops out of a school, college, university, etc. And then we have the adjective dropout. This is almost always used in the collocation dropout rate. A dropout rate is a measure of how many people are dropping out of something. Here's a usage tip. If it is followed by a noun, you need the preposition of. For example, she dropped out of college to pursue her music career. Several runners dropped out of the marathon because of the extreme heat. Hundreds of members dropped out of the new political party last month. About a fifth of people who enroll at universities in this country drop out in their first year. This word is elective. Elective. It's a countable noun. An elective is a subject or a course that you can choose to do, but is not compulsory. It's something that's optional, in other words. Let's see the word family. First we have the verb elect. I'm sure you know that one. It's a synonym of choose. Then we have the noun election. That's the act of electing, or when we vote for politicians. And finally, we have the adjective elective. That's a synonym of optional. I'm studying chemistry at the moment, but it's not one of my core subjects. It's just an elective. How many electives are you allowed to choose each semester? Now we have extra credit. Extra credit. This is an uncountable noun. It means points or marks that are added to a student's overall grade if the student completes additional work. You can get extra credit in this subject if you attend a special seminar and write a paper on it. Here, paper means assignment or report. Some teachers are against offering extra credit opportunities because they believe some students don't take tests seriously if they think they can make up the points in the future. In other words, some teachers are worried that students might think, it's no big deal if I fail this test because I can do an extra credit assignment at a later date. Now we have the adjective extracurricular. Extracurricular. This means not part of the main courses or subjects that a student is doing. Cheerleading is a popular extracurricular activity at American high schools and universities. Here are some collocations. We have an extracurricular activity, an extracurricular club, an extracurricular event, and an extracurricular organization. Good grades are normally not enough to get into a good university. You also need to be able to list extracurricular activities on your application. Students here are encouraged to attend extracurricular events in addition to their normal classes to get the full college experience. Now we have the phrasal verb fall behind. Fall behind. It has a couple of meanings. Number one, to not do something fast enough or on time. Number two, to not progress or succeed as much as other people or groups. A little usage tip. It is often followed by in or with. For example, Lisa has fallen behind in history. That means that Lisa has not done all the work that she should have done by now in her history classes or learnt the things that she should have learnt. They've fallen behind with their mortgage payments. That means that they haven't made their mortgage payments recently. If you keep skipping classes, you'll quickly fall behind. I can't go out this weekend because I've fallen behind with my work. Companies that don't invest in R&D will fall behind technologically. R&D is research and development. Now we have final. Final. It's a countable noun. I'm sure you all know this word, but I've included it because lots of people don't know all of the meanings. It has a few meanings. Number one, the last game, match, competition, etc. in a series, which usually determines the winner. Number two, in the US, an important exam that students at a high school, college, or university take at the end of a semester or quarter. Number three, in the UK, an exam that university students take at the end of their final year. Let's see the word family. First we have the adjective final, then the adverb finally. I'm sure you know those ones. Then we have the verb to finalize. That means to finish the last part of something. And then we have, finally, we have the noun finalist. A finalist is a person or a team that competes in a final. That relates to the first meaning. A little usage tip. It is often in the plural, especially when it means tests. For example, the library is always full the week before finals. This student is studying for his finals. I always watch the World Cup final with my family. She's hardly done any work this semester, so I think she'll have to cram a lot before finals. When we've all finished our finals, my friends and I are going to go on a trip together. Now we have grant. Grant. It's a countable noun. A grant is an amount of money given by the government or another organization for a specific purpose. Academics and students often receive grants for study or research. The verb is grant. That means to give somebody something that they have asked for, or to give somebody permission to do something. And now some collocations. A government grant. That's a grant from the government. A research grant. That's a grant for doing research. A student grant. That's a grant a student can receive for their studies. To apply for a grant. To get, obtain, or receive a grant. To give or award somebody a grant. We will only be able to continue our research if we obtain another government grant. The faculty was awarded a grant from a foundation that focuses on environmental conservation. Next we have the phrasal verb, hand something in. Hand something in. This means to give something to someone in authority, especially a piece of work or an important document. It's a more common way of saying submit. Here are a few collocations. To hand in an assignment. To hand in a paper. To hand in a report. To hand in one's homework. And to hand in one's notice or resignation. If you hand in your notice or resignation, it means you're quitting your job. If you hand the assignment in late, you will receive a penalty. Frank said that he would hand in his resignation if I didn't increase his salary. The next word is major. Major. It's a countable noun. It has a few meanings, but we're just going to look at the ones that relate to student life. Number 1. A student's main subject at a college or university. Number 2. A student who is specializing in a particular subject. That second definition might sound a little confusing, but it will become clear when you see an example. Let's see the word family. First we have the adjective major. You probably know that. It means very serious, large, or important. And then we have the phrasal verb major in. That means to study something as your main subject. You could say, I'm majoring in geography, for example. My major in college was economics, but I also studied quite a lot of history. Jake is a chemistry major, and later he'd like to study medicine. That means that right now, Jake's main subject is chemistry. And now we have minor. Minor. It's a countable noun. Just like major, this has a few meanings, but we're just going to look at the ones that relate to student life. Number 1, a subject that a student takes at a college or university in addition to their major. Number 2, a student who is studying such a subject. The adjective is also minor. That usually means not very serious, large, or important. Minor in is the associated phrasal verb. That means to study something, but not as your main subject. For example, you could say, I'm a business student, but I'm minoring in Spanish. We can only have one major in this degree, but we're allowed to have a couple of minors. I was a biology minor. I know a lot more about physics because that was my major. This word is prerequisite. Prerequisite. It's a countable noun. A prerequisite is something that needs to exist or be done before something else can happen or be done. The adjective is also prerequisite. That means needing to exist or be done before something else can happen or be done. Here's a usage tip. It is often followed by for, of, or to. Biology is a prerequisite for medical school. In other words, you need to study some biology if you want to later study medicine. Having no credit card debt is a prerequisite of obtaining a mortgage. Adaptability is a prerequisite to success in this industry. An advanced level of English is a prerequisite for admission into that university. Do you know if that course has any prerequisites? Now we have registrar. Registrar. It's a countable noun. A registrar is a person who is responsible for keeping records, especially a college or university official who keeps records of enrollments, applications, academic performance, etc. I went to the registrar's office to see if I could change my timetable. A university registrar needs to possess strong organizational and managerial skills. Next we have the verb retake. Retake. It means to take an exam again or do a course again, usually after failing it the first time. Retake can actually be used in lots of contexts. It just means to take again. But in the context of student life, it relates to exams and courses. If you fail a final, you have the opportunity to retake it in the summer. If Frank keeps skipping class, you'll have to retake the whole course. The next word is transcript. Transcript. It's a countable noun. It has a couple of meanings. Firstly, it can mean an exact written copy of spoken words. It can also mean an official document from a college or university that shows a student's courses and grades. The verb is transcribe. That means to record speech or data in written form. The noun is, or another noun, is transcription. That means the process of transcribing. Unfortunately, we couldn't find an audio recording of the speech, but a transcript was available. If you want another official copy of your transcript, you'll need to contact the registrar's office. Now we have tuition. Tuition. It's an uncountable noun. It has a couple of meanings. Number one, the act of teaching, especially to one person or a small group. Number two, money paid for receiving teaching. You can also say tuition fees. In addition to the group classes, every student in the course will receive 2 hours of one-on-one tuition per month. One-on-one here means individual, so there's one teacher and one student. Loans are available to students who are not able to pay their tuition upfront. Upfront here means in advance. So in the context of education, it means before classes start. The final word for this topic is tutor. Tutor. It's a countable noun. It has a few meanings. Number one, a private teacher, especially one who teaches one student or a small group. Number two, in the US, a teacher of the lowest academic rank at a college or university. At universities, there's usually a hierarchy of teachers. A tutor is at the bottom of the hierarchy. In the UK, a teacher at a university or college who teaches one student or a small group. The verb is also tutor, and that means to work as a tutor or to teach an individual or small group. We also have the noun tutorial. A tutorial is a period of study with a tutor at a college or university. Wealthier students are often at an advantage because they can afford to pay private tutors. Helen is a tutor at the moment, but she would like to be a professor one day. We all found the lecture difficult to understand, but our tutor carefully explained the concepts to us. George has just finished his first year at college. Needless to say, he had quite an eventful year. He decided to live in a dorm because he thought it would be a good way to meet people. He made some good friends, but he's not going to live there next year because he said it was very noisy. He studied a wide range of subjects because he hasn't yet decided what his major will be. He's considering majoring in economics and having mathematics as a minor. If he does that, he'll still be allowed to study one or two other subjects as electives. Economics doesn't have any prerequisites, but if you want to take math subjects, you have to have done some math in high school. The only subject that was compulsory was English. Everyone at the university has to take English in their first year. He found it easy because he had already read the books that were on the English curriculum. One subject that he didn't particularly like was archaeology, so he dropped it at the end of the first semester. He found his first semester rather stressful because he wasn't used to having to organize his own time. He ended up pulling a few all-nighters to finish assignments, and he had to cram for a couple of finals. He learned that it's a good idea to start assignments early because the best books at the library normally get checked out very quickly. At one point during his first semester, he felt like dropping out. But then he spoke to a tutor who told him that lots of students felt like that in the first year, and that he shouldn't give up. At least he didn't hand in anything late. He was also happy that he didn't need to retake any exams. The second semester went a lot better, and he didn't fall behind in any of his subjects. He participated in a few extracurricular activities, like basketball and debating, and he even managed to do some additional assignments to get extra credit in a couple of his subjects. He did so well that when he went to the registrar's office to collect his transcript, he was told that the dean had awarded him a grant for next year. The grant will cover 50% of his tuition, so he was absolutely delighted.